the top 3 winners and losers of the Teal Mask DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet by False Swipe Gaming. Now, Teal Mask has been an interesting DLC so far, at least as far as getting to the final Ogerpon fight. Been very interesting. I'm very curious what the post-game has. I'm very interested to see the Loyal 3. I'm interested to see how they are performing, how they have performed. And I'm very curious what we're getting back and who, by False Swipe Gaming's admission, are the winners and the losers of the Teal Mask DLC. As somebody that looks at competitive Pokemon content, as somebody that likes it, as somebody that has played in VGC, I absolutely love False Swipe Gaming content. If you haven't checked them out, you absolutely have. I definitely want to do what I can to help them get to 1 million, because I think there's no reason False Swipe Gaming shouldn't be at 1 million. They are a great resource. They're awesome. Pleasure to deal with him and his team. Just absolutely awesome people. And with that being said, get into it.
The Teal Mask DLC has come out and rocked the already chaotic world of the post-Pokemon Home Scarlet and Violet metagame. In this video, we'll be exploring the most impactful changes made to existing Pokemon, seeing which ones were buffed the most, or the winners, and which ones were nerfed the most, or the losers. We've got a top 3 of both categories, and in addition, we'll be covering a few extras that weren't quite significant enough to make the final cut, yet we still found them worth mentioning. The honorable and dishonorable mentions. It's important to mention that in this video specifically, we are not
Gliscor is back. Oh no, that's going to be interesting.
Covering brand new Pokemon like Ogerpon, as they did not have any previous existence to measure their status against. That'll be for another video. However, new forms of existing Pokemon are fair game. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the winners and losers of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's Teal Mask DLC.
So did they actually fix Dodonzo's ability? As far as I'm aware, Dodonzo's ability to eat the Tatsugiri was not restricted to just Tatsugiri. It was any water dragon type. So does that mean you can have a Walking Wake and a Dodonzo on the field at the same time? The Dodonzo will eat the Walking Wake. Is that how that works? Because that seems pretty dumb if that's how that works. Seem potentially unintentional, but God, I hear VGC right now is such a wild place. And Torterra. I mean, the 2 solid ground types. I think Torterra has fallen off,
We're starting off with a pair of Generation 4 ground types, neither of which were seen in Gen 8, but now have immediately made an impact upon their return in Gen 9. On one hand, we have Gliscor, which has never been anything less than an OU staple and has even ventured into Ubers on occasion.
Right.
On the other, we have Torterra, which has never had any OU viability whatsoever. The closest it got was a couple of diehard Gen 4 fans theory crafting sets that didn't actually work. Yes, Rock Polish Torterra might be threatening, but it lacked the power boost it needed to break through bulkier Pokemon. What about using Rock Polish and Swords Dance then? Well, in that case, you would lack Stone Edge's coverage and become completely ruined by the plethora of flying types that would stuff both its stabs, as well as really lacking any tools to hit opposing grass types.
I think that Torterra's problem has always just been like having a subpar moveset. And by subpar moveset, I mean like it hasn't really had that stopping power, so to speak. So especially if they fix that, that's a problem. Like, and that's why you get Rock Polish and Swords Dance. Okay, so you're going to be raising, you're going to be raising your speed and you're going to be raising your attack, right? Like, if you're having to boost up to that point, I mean, is there something that could do Torterra's spot but better? And generally, it seems it's been the case.
They really needed was a move that was both Swords Dance
and
Rock Polish at the same time. And no, Dragon Dance wouldn't be a sufficient compromise, as it'd still be too slow even after a boost. Well, come Generation 9, Torterra has received a move that many felt was long overdue for it, given the giant shell on it.
Man, it's so small. Some of these got sized really weird. It's such a small Torterra.
Back. Shell Smash, which packs the boost of both Swords Dance and Rock Polish simultaneously. And this move has rocketed it to legitimate OU status for the first time ever. Sure, it comes with the side effects of dropping Torterra's defenses. It's a worthwhile price to pay for immediately, as with it, Torterra becomes so fast and so strong, it becomes capable of smashing through a great portion of the metagame, including most of the popular Pokemon around. Torterra is on the niche side, as it offers next to no defensive utility and only really gets one shot at its sweep, which can still be disrupted since Torterra's low speed leaves it outsped by Choice Scarfers even after a boost. It doesn't seem like there's much.
I've actually been seeing, because Golden Ghost since day one's been a problem in my opinions with its good as gold ability. But then someone posted that Toadscroll's Mycelium Might actually gets around it, and I'm like, God, am I really gonna have to build Mushroom Squid the team? I'm gonna have to build Mushroom Squid the team.
Likelihood of it staying OU once the novelty wears off. However, it's almost surely going to ruin a lower tier or two once it drops. And the fact that it has legitimately been seen blasting through OU teams is enough for us to let it share the spotlight as the number 3 winner.
Did they nerf Good as Gold?
The most neglected Gen 4 starter finally get
something hear about
great, enough to rocket it up to the hallowed annals of standard play. However, briefly, alongside Infernape and Empoleon. Gen 9 marks for the first time Gliscor has appeared in a generation without hidden power. It was theorized that without hidden power Ice around, it would be banned immediately were it ever dropped into Gen 8, a sentiment that hasn't entirely dissipated with its introduction into Gen 9. This alone would already power it into contention as a winner. What holds it back from is Gen 9's immense power creep, helped greatly by terrestrialization, as well as the devastating fact that Gliscor no longer has access to Roost, meaning it.
I'm sorry, what? That's not a Gliscor when it finds out it doesn't have access to Roost anymore. That is not a insignificant nerf, though, actually.
No longer enjoys the full extent of the absurd pseudo-immortality that was its trademark in generations 5 through 7. Of course, it still sticks around incredibly well when relying on Protect to extract as much recovery as possible from its Poison Heal, as demonstrated in Gen 5.
You are correct. What no one expects is the Icy Wind Life Orb Gengar. Oh my God. Well, yeah, it has Poison Heal, right? But it doesn't have... It has some heal, but it doesn't have all the heal like it did with Roost. So that's not an insignificant nerf. So you're probably going to have to build Gliscor into more of a bulky offensive set now, from what I understand. You're not going to be able to rely on that Roost, so you should be going into either a Terra or you should be going into just hyper offense, potentially.
Black and White 1, it couldn't use Roost alongside Poison Heal and still had amazing longevity, as well as often preferring to use Protect as its healing even when Roost became available to it in Black and White 2. But losing Roost meant it's no longer able to pull off some of its trademark heroics that were so commonplace to its specially defensive Swords Dance variants in generations 6 and 7, where it would Roost stall entire teams as it boosted repeatedly in ways that could not be replicated with Protect. With this in mind, could the removal of hidden power alone really be enough to justify its place as a number 3 winner of the Teal Mask DLC? Almost surely not, but Gliscor received far more than the absence of a tactic previously used to slow it down. It received both spikes and toxic spikes, and has immediately used these in conjunction with its monstrous defensive presence against an enormous...
So instead of offense, they turn it into a defensive Mon with that sets hazards. Interesting, actually.
Slew of threats, running around to become one of the best hazard setters in the tier, as well as the best Pokemon full stop. Oh, you want to use heavy duty boosts to bypass these hazards? Well, Gliscor also has knockoff, and will make quick work of that. It's also an excellent hazard setter because everyone's favorite hazard remover, Great Tusk,
Gliscor be like, nerf me. Nerf me if you dare, but if you nerf me, I'll come back more powerful than before.
doesn't want to come into Gliscor at all for fear of Toxic. Meanwhile, Gliscor is as resilient as ever with its astonishingly good typing in conjunction with immunity to status and opposing spikes. Gliscor is an elite OU Pokemon once again, but in a form it's never taken on before, thanks to Game Freak's generous treatment of ground types in Gen 9, and thus
Clodsire.
It comes in as the number 3 winner on this list.
Well, time for me to breed a Gligar again. Better boot up my Sword and... No, it wasn't in Sword and Shield. When was my last game that had Gliscor, actually? God, that wasn't 3DS era, wasn't it? I'm gonna have to track one down. With every patch, I grow more powerful. You cowards will never stop me. I shall hazard set to the day I die. Great Tusk, really? Hey, Basculegion.
Okay, if referring to...
I do want Basculegion because it actually reminds me of Wind Waker aesthetic. the clouds on it, right? It kind of reminds me of Wind Waker a little bit.
Great Tusk as a loser feels quite harsh, as it's still an incredible Pokemon that stands firmly among the elite picks in OU. Which is why it is the lowest so-called loser on this list. But the fact is, it did experience a significant drop-off from its previous spot in the metagame, where it could just about do nothing wrong. Great Tusk's newfound problems are multifaceted. First of all, as mentioned previously, it does not care for Gliscor's presence, as it fears Toxic and is not able to switch into it to threaten Rapid Spin, meaning it's easier to wear down passively unless it chooses to run heavy-duty boots as its item. Gliscor's negative impact on Great Tusk goes beyond that, though. If Great Tusk doesn't want Gliscor switching into it, and you do not want Gliscor coming in for free any more than is absolutely necessary, then it is forced to run Ice Spinner, which is by no means a bad choice, but severely restricts its moveset in a way that it previously did not have to contend with. Gliscor isn't
you're down to 3 moves at that point, and it's not like before a VGC battle you can just swap out your like in team preview, right? You know, now I know that I'm going up against a Gliscor team, might as well just put Ice Spinner back on, right? I mean, you're kind of, especially on like a tournament or something like that, you're locked into that team. So like, God, that's rough to think about. Like, you are fighting with effectively a 3-move Great Tusk, and Great Tusk is great, don't get me wrong, it's seen a lot of usage, but
Great Tusk's only issue either. The other big one is that much of the new metagame centers around threats that blow Great Tusk apart with little effort. Now sure, there have always been threats like Iron Valiant, which continued its excellence, but this was a lot more overwhelming when paired with other such threats of its ilk, which there are so many of. Ogerpon forms, Manaphy, a buffed Walking Wake, and the immense popularity of Rain. Thus,
okay, we're not talking about VGC specifically, because one, this is singles, but Manaphy isn't allowed in VGC.
Defensive presence is no longer as impressive, especially because it's now competing with the most elite OU grounds of all time in both Gliscor and Landorus Therian. But make no mistake, Great Tusk is still as high tier OU as it gets. It's just no longer going basically unchallenged, as it ruled over anything and everything like it did previously.
Right, so it really dropped. It really got hurt. Hi, Slowking. You're a thing.
The second loser on this list is a Pokemon that's been an OU staple for the past generation and a half, Slowking. And it's particularly interesting because it actually just received Scald. What could go wrong for it?
Wait, did it not have Scald before? I know for a fact I've used Slowbro with Scald. Didn't we have Slowbro with Scald before? I could have swore we did. Did Slowking just somehow not learn it?
Now that it's been re-gifted such an amazing move that was a staple of its moveset in Gen 8. It's one of the most famously resilient Pokemon around, with both reliable healing.
No, right, because Gen 9 didn't have Scald when it started. Thank you, I really love my model. Thank you, Lunix. No, it didn't have Scald at the beginning of Gen 9 because Gen 9 didn't release until the Scald didn't release till the beginning of the Teal Mask. That's right. Okay, so I'm not misremembering. Yeah, no, we used to have Scald. So it's that it launched, we didn't have Scald, but now since it has Scald, it's buffed in a certain capacity, so that way now it's a winner. Okay, got it.
And slack
context made.
And the amazing passive healing of Regenerator, while being able to facilitate free switch-ins for its teammates. Whereas it previously teleported, now it's got chilly reception, even adding the setup of snow to its repertoire. And yet, now that it can once again threaten opponents with burn.
I actually haven't seen chilly reception. That's amazing.
It's worse than it was before? Yes. Strange though it may seem. And you can chalk this up to the utterly insane power creep just added to a generation that was already bursting at the seams with it. Walking Wake, a Pokemon Slowking had previously done quite well against, is now able to harass and take advantage of it freely with knockoff and flip turn. Speaking of increased flip turn distribution, this has also turned one of Slowking's previous best matchups, Rain, on its head, as it, Floatzel, and Basculegion smack it hard and gain switch advantage against it with the move. Slowking and Great Tusk are similar in this regard. Furthermore, the most powerful metagame defining threats just blow it away. Each Ogerpon form, Blood Moon Ursaluna, and of course the tear shredding Manaphy. You know what players use instead of Slowking? Galarian Slowking, as it matches up much better against the metagame at large. Slowking is...
That's actually kind of neat. I'm sad that it's not Galarian Slowbro, because I like his quick draw, but it's super janky. But that I'm actually glad that we're seeing some Galarian Slowking play.
Far from a bad Pokemon in its own right, of course, but the metagame as it stands right now is inhospitably hostile to it.
Got it. Interesting.
Previously, Ursaluna...
I actually have no idea what Ursaluna does. I haven't actually played that far in Legends Arceus or that far into the Teal Mask. I've heard Ursaluna is a threat, though. I've heard Blood Moon Ursaluna is nutty.
Was a superb physical attacker, thanks to its huge attack boosted further by Guts and complementary stab combination with high base power moves, to say nothing of the absurd overkill of Swords Dance. It was truly unwallable. As a bonus, it also had amazing physical bulk and wasn't a complete pushover on the special side either, thanks to its utterly gargantuan HP stat. Ursaluna was still on the niche side though, finding itself in UU, because while it could threaten the daylights out of anything in OU, its low speed in conjunction with its weakness-laden typing meant it wasn't difficult to revenge kill, an issue compounded by it cutting into its own longevity with Flame Orb. Now, however, Ursaluna has received a new form, Blood Moon Ursaluna, usually just referred to as Blood Moon, and in keeping with its terrifying design, it's utterly horrifying to face.
Massive.
Why? Okay, it's got less HP than base Ursaluna, but its defense stat is so much higher that it's actually slightly physically bulkier. Alright, so between its lower HP and lower special defense, it's not taking special hits nearly as well. Or so you think. But that's the trick.
I need to see the stat block on this. This is actually insane. So base Ursaluna has 130 on HP, 140 attack, which is insane. That's going to hit like a truck. We have 105 defense, so decently bulky on the offensive side. Special attack 45. No one's going to care about that. Special defense 80. Could be better, could be worse. Speed of 50. Yeah, so pretty slow. Gets the ability Bulletproof, makes Pokemon immune to ball and bomb moves. That's actually kind of cool, though. I didn't know that. Whereas Blood Moon is 113, so you're cutting down on your HP stat. You have 135 special attack. It's on the special side, so therefore generally weaker, but also you lose 5 points there. Your special defense goes down to 65, but your defense goes up to 120. Yeah, there's some, and it has a 52 speed instead of 50. So it's a slightly faster. Like, they shifted some stuff around, but it's interesting. It's got to be its moveset as well, right? Mind's Eye is its ability. Ignores changes to opponent's evasiveness. The accuracy cannot be lowered. It can hit ghost type attacks. Oh, so it's got Scrappy as well. And that, jeez. Wow.
Blood Moon easily fixes this issue with Calm Mind. Wait, Calm Mind? Isn't Ursaluna a physical attacker? It certainly is. But whereas Ursaluna packs an incredible attack stat, Blood Moon packs an incredible special attack stat.
That's wild.
Alright, sure you're thinking, but what's the big deal? Its special attack is actually slightly lower than Ursaluna's attack, and it's boosting less with Calm Mind than it would with Swords Dance. And it doesn't have a power boosting ability, so what gives? Several things.
Right.
First of all, Blood Moon is Ursaluna's polar opposite in terms of longevity. Whereas Ursaluna wears itself down from the flame orb it uses to power itself up, and the headlong rush that's one of its strongest offensive weapons, Blood Moon uses Calm Mind alongside max HP and defense, meaning after a single boost, especially since it uses leftovers as its item. Okay, but being unkillable after a boost in and of itself doesn't automatically make something threatening. So what about Ursaluna's power? Well, putting aside for a second the fact that Ursaluna's incredible bulk makes it ridiculously easy for it to accrue multiple boosts, it has absolutely no issues with power. Its main stab attack is the signature move its form is named for, Blood Moon, a normal move which clocks in at an absolutely stupefying 140 base power, plowing...
Sorry, what? What? What do you mean? What? 104 Hyper Beam and Giga Impact are 150. Oh my god, that's not just a truck, that's a freight train.
Even resists after a boost. No chance to dodge it either, as it's got 100% accuracy. Okay, any drawbacks? Well, it can't be used twice in a row.
That's
so
fair.
Blood Moon's got to wait one turn, which is the easiest thing in the world.
But you're not recharging is the thing. You can Blood Moon, you can protect, you can Blood Moon, you can Calm Mind, you can Blood Moon, you can coverage move, you can Blood Moon again. That's actually insane.
for it to bypass. Many Blood Moon tack on Protect, and bam, problem solved. Become invulnerable for a turn, then blast something else. It's so bulky after Calm Mind, it doesn't exactly fear getting attacked either, and thus doesn't need to run Protect. A common alternative is Moonlight, whose recovery makes it even more impossible to muscle through. Oh, and it also has great priority to compensate for its low speed in the form of Vacuum Wave, and sometimes even terrestrialize into a fighting type to gain stab on it, as well as change up its weaknesses, making it even more absurd to deal with. Oh, and just to really rub it in, Blood Moon's ability Mind's Eye means it can hit ghost types with Blood Moon as well as Vacuum Wave. Sometimes it'll terrestrialize into a fairy type too, just to have one of the best defensive typings in the game, turning its fighting weakness into a fighting resist, and sometimes it'll even Terra into a poison type to maintain that fight resist while also becoming immune to toxic.
This thing's a problem. Oh my god. I heard about Blood Moon Ursaluna. I'm a believer now. That's wild.
Any shot of stalling it out that way. And it doesn't even have to worry about becoming weak to Gliscor's Earthquake, since it's so bulky it takes a paltry 30% anyway. Blood Moon Ursaluna is absolutely absurd, and frankly, nobody should be surprised to see it banned from OU in the near future.
Yeah, no, I can see it. I can see it getting the ban from OU.
Before we get to the number one winner and loser, we quickly have some honorable and dishonorable mentions for both categories. Empoleon leads off the honorable mentions category, receiving several amazing new tools. The momentum of Flip Turn, the Defog punishing special attack boost of competitive, and at long last, the reliable recovery of Roost. It's particularly excellent in its ability to completely stifle Walking Wake. Alomomola and Walking Wake itself also are notable Flip Turn recipients, while Alomomola additionally receives Scald and Wake got knockoff. Speaking of knockoff, several notable dark types received the move. Roaring Moon, Hydreigon, and yes, Tyranitar. Maybe this is the tool Pokemon's gods
hit him. Those of you that have watched me for a while will know I'm an absolute mad Slitherwing fan. He's just so cute. I love him.
Zilla needs to start working its way back up to the tiering rung in this post-pursuit world. Finally, in the spirit of Torterra being OU, however temporarily that might wind up being, we must also mention Furret. Yes.
Oh boy, he do. Oh boy, he gonna walk.
Furret, a Pokemon famously highlighted as one of the worst competitive choices in our video on it, which is a crying shame given how adorable it is. But now it is actually OU. Now don't get too excited.
I'm sorry, what? This is the best news I've received in months. What do you mean Furret's OU? What happened? Why is the Furret in OU? He's walking over that competition though.
Didn't get any buffs. Well, it got Tidy Up, which is an amazing move, but not nearly enough to compensate for being, you know, Furret. It's just a matter of it being a newly released Pokemon, and by some miracle of the Pokegods, enough players using it to actually see it become OU. And then when others see Furret as a genuine OU Pokemon, they get excited and use Furret themselves. It surely won't last, but seeing Furret actually in the standard metagame is a delightfully goofy change of pace. As for the dishonorable mention,
oh boy, he actually just walked right into the OU metagame, didn't he? Oh boy, he do. Oh my god.
Knockoff has regained widespread distribution, and yet despite being given to its fellow Unova genies in Thundurus and Tornadus, Landorus has been deprived of the move for some reason. So too.
Okay, to be fair, as somebody that's used Landorus, F Landorus, like, homie doesn't have to go that hard every generation. To be fair, as somebody that uses Landorus, in fact, my Sword and Shield team, VGC team for a while, was like Kyogre, Zacian, Whimsicott with it was Prankster Tailwind, Whimsicott set, Lightning Rod Raichu, Landorus T, and then I had kind of like this weird flex slot that I could kind of do. You think I filled it with like Incineroar, Rillaboom, but like when Landorus T is that big of a staple that I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna use it. I'm okay with Landorus T getting a few less toys. I'm okay with that.
Who has Toxapex, which has also been deprived of the newly returned Scald and the Flip Turn that was given to so many other waters. These aren't drastic enough to warrant truly being on the losers list, but they do bear mentioning.
Did Power of Alchemy actually get a buff this generation? I'm seeing in chat saying that Power of Alchemy might have given him some new viability. I don't remember it getting a buff. No, I'm not seeing any Interesting. I mean, we were toying with it back in like Sun and Moon.
The biggest loser is, of course, another former OU Titan. Clefable is still a decent Pokemon in the tier, but it is nowhere near its previous metagame ruling status. Surely it can't be a matter of power creep alone, right? Clefable's made a career out of underwhelming seeming...
Can we go back to this? I'm really finding Gen 9 completely underwhelming with their arena. Can we get this again? Can we get like Sword and Shield arenas? Like, God, I miss them so much. It looks so much cleaner, and it feels like the frame rate and the stability is a little better.
Stats beating high-powered pokes. You'd be right, it's not that at all. It's the fact that it had a bunch of crucial utility moves hacked away from its move pool. No more aromatherapy or heal bell. Okay, that's a blow, but hardly the most essential thing. So it's manageable. No more teleport. That's more brutal to be sure, but still fine. No more soft boiled. Nope, that's too much.
Wow.
Wait, you say. Recovery moves got nerfed to 8 PP this generation, and Clefable still has Moonlight. What's the problem? Well, Moonlight has its...
Mostly it's I look at this and I see that there's some frame rate issues. I'm sure if they cleaned it up a little bit and polished it and made it a little more stable, I'd be perfectly fine with it. And like, it's thematic for the area. Like, it's like when you're playing like online or in VGC or something like that. I mean, yeah, the biggest thing you have to look at competitive Pokemon is that the end user has to have a stable and functional experience. When we start having issues with like frame rate drops, stability issues, weird shadows, like that's when we start having issues, in my opinion. They fixed that in online battles. You can randomly get gym locations in battle arenas. Most base gyms. Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, so they did kind of add more arenas to that. I will take that. I wish that the stability was a little bit better, though. This looks like you can kind of see right here. I don't know what quite, like there's some like weird pixelation or whatever right here on Clefable, and it just feels, how do I word it? It just doesn't feel high quality. And you look at and I'm sure this is being blown up. Well, Kip, this is being blown up from a Switch title.
More soft boiled? Nope, that's too much.
I mean,
wait, you say
on the exact same shot. I mean, I guess I can kind of see it. I guess it's got to be the lighting engine then. There's something between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. I haven't quite pinned down what it is, but I don't find battling as enjoyable in Scarlet and Violet personally. But that is also subjective.
Hey, recovery moves got nerfed to 8 PP this generation, and Clefable still has Moonlight. What's the problem?
It's probably the lighting.
Well, Moonlight has its recovery percentage slashed in rain or snow, and those two weathers just happen to be everywhere, especially snow, thanks to the newly added Alolan Ninetales, which has incredibly high usage, as well as chilly reception Galarian Slowking. Wait, Clefable can also heal with Wish, which can also heal its teammates. Yes, that's...
I'm actually... Why did they change up hail into snow this generation? I'm very curious. Like, what was the inciting change for that? Because it functions so differently now.
True, but when Clefable is forced to rely on a 2-turn, 2-move slot recovery for itself, it becomes a lot more exploitable. Clef is much less able to take on opponents now, which hurts its ability to support its team. It still gets the job done quite well, but it's nowhere near the overwhelming force it was prior. And for that reason, it is the #1 loser on this list.
Baxcalibur, really? Really?
Baxcalibur was already an arguably broken beast previously, thanks to the strength of its snow-based set with Substitute, Dragon Dance, Icicle Crash, and Earthquake. It would take advantage of the snow, providing it a valuable defense boost, while also activating its Ice Body ability, meaning it...
I'm gonna be honest. I think losing the DOT is fine. I think the defense boost is actually more relevant now, actually. I might actually end up liking this change. Don't get me wrong. I'm a hardcore... I came from Gen 3, right? I get it. Man, this might make me a believer, though, especially because I love Baxcalibur so much.
It healed huge amounts of health per turn alongside leftovers. And of course, it was incredibly easy to both set up snow and get it on the field thanks to chilly reception Slowking, both Johto and Galar. However, the new addition of Alolan Ninetales has really taken this set to utterly ludicrous extremes, as in addition to snow, it also provides Aurora Veil, meaning
Our ice teams actually just slept on in VGC at this point in time. Because, like, I mean, we're still running Alolan Ninetales, Aurora Veil, Blizzard, I'm assuming. That's wild to consider.
Baxcalibur becomes absolutely unkillable on the physical side while having its special defense boosted as well. It was basically akin to fighting Zygarde complete with Poison Heal, except Baxcalibur packed immediate destructive power far beyond Zygarde C's reach. Number 1 and number 2, it was actually slightly physically bulkier than Zygarde C, at least with Snow and Aurora Veil active. Its bulk was so utterly absurd, if you wanted to, you could invest in enough bulk to have its substitute survive bulky Great Tusk's close combat. Yes, that mighty attack would deal a whopping 24.9% max. This wasn't actually necessary since you were going to dominate Great Tusk anyway, but it serves as an incredible example of how monstrously bulky Baxcalibur was in these conditions. Of course, the addition of Alolan Ninetales wasn't the only major boost for Baxcalibur. It also received Scale Shot, which was absolutely absurd. Previously, Baxcalibur boosted its speed with Dragon Dance, but now it boosted its speed with an unbelievably powerful stab move. Thanks to its loaded dice item, which it already enjoyed to similarly abuse maximum power Icicle Spear, Scale Shot would always hit 5 times.
125 base stab move. Oh my god, that's disgusting. Oh my god. So they just made Skill Link an item now and loaded dice? I actually didn't even know that. I totally spaced that.
Which at 25 base power per hit meant it clocked in at an absolutely stunning 125 base power with 5 hits, making it even stronger than the Dragon Stab Baxcalibur had previously dropped opponents with. Glaive Rush. With the speed boosting, mega powerful Scale Shot taking Glaive Rush's place, Baxcalibur no longer had the need to run Dragon Dance and could instead run Swords Dance to make itself even more absurdly strong. Baxcalibur would brute force through its unmatched capabilities of outspeeding and obliterating everything. And as if that wasn't enough, the fact that opponents had to contend with Sub DD and Scale Shot SD made it even scarier. Scale Shot.
Wow, he changed. He's changed since I played him in early Scarlet Violet DLC. Oh my god, he's nutty.
SD was the more popular one, thanks to Scale Shot's self-sufficiency and both attacking with incredible power and boosting speed, making it easier for Baxcalibur to instantly threaten opponents. But the overwhelming presence of its set, forcing opponents to take into consideration, actually helped make Sub DD even scarier, as that variant was hard enough to deal with as it was without the part where you didn't even know it might be that set. Some players referred to Baxcalibur as effectively a Shadow Tag Pokemon because of how it forced KOs whenever it hit the field. If you switched and allowed it just one turn of setup, you probably lost. That's how obscene it was. You had to keep your Pokemon on the field just to prevent that free setup, and thus Baxcalibur would just collect a free kill. And then there was the fact that there was Snow and Aurora Veil support it would set up against you no matter what. It was hilarious in how ridiculously it smashed everything. Why are we talking about Baxcalibur in the past tense given how recent this whole thing is? Well, Baxcalibur was so ridiculous, it had already been banned from OU, surprising absolutely nobody and earning it without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm gonna be honest, like OU Council this like past 2 generations is probably just sweating. Like OU Council sees Zacian crowned, sees Fluttermane, sees Baxcalibur, OU Council sweats nervously. Oh dear lord.
Spot as the #1 winner of the Teal Mask DLC.
Yeah.
And that's it. Obviously, with as many additions and changes as the Teal Mask DLC brought to the table, there are plenty more Pokemon that could have been mentioned here. Plus, the order of these things can be quite subjective, though in our opinion, it's pretty impossible to argue against Baxcalibur. Either way, let us know in the comments, do you think there were any Pokemon that could have been mentioned?
An OU banning
or should the order of these Pokemon have been different, and why? We look forward to reading them, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to False Swipe Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. And thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos, and thank you to everyone else watching as well.
Wow, no, this is amazing. I'm so out of date. Like, mostly I'm just now getting around to the Teal Mask DLC. My time is not what it used to be. Like, this metagame has got to be pretty spooky for some people.
Follow my crew on these social media platforms, and that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.
I'm pumped. I'll have to see. Like, I'm probably just gonna work off some pre-built teams, and I'm gonna raise Pokemon up to that and go from there. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those, like, it's so much time to get into VGC. Coincidentally, playing a Pokemon is a full-time job if you don't cheat, right? That kind of thing, especially with the issue this year where we run into where Pokemon at Worlds did a surprise hack check and which they've had this capability. I don't know why they haven't been doing it. As a former professor, like, we've had the ability to, like, you know, check certain things, right? Not that I've ever had to handle the software or any of that personally, because Idaho don't really have events, right? But like, it's one of those that it soured a lot of people. But I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, no, Pokemon's changed in just the last generation alone, which is interesting. Yes, as they should. Like, I'm not arguing that, especially on VGC, they shouldn't. However, it's that they haven't up until that point. It was kind of a surprise, right? That's kind of the thing that I'm scratching my head about, like, what prompted this. Well, it was also the first Worlds in a couple years, wasn't it? So it might have been that. It might have been just the strain of the event. I don't know. Anyways, that's beside the point. I thought this was a great video, and this actually gets me really, really hyped for getting back into Pokemon. And we are finishing the Teal Mask DLC as this is going live. And even then, I'm debating on doing some, like, viewer battle nights, debating on it. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that the winners were great? Did you think there was a winner here that wasn't listed? Do you think that any Pokemon took a massive L? You know, let me know in the comments section. And definitely, if you haven't, go check out False Swipe Gaming. Him and his team put out amazing work, and they really just put out awesome work. Just go check them out. I want to do what I can to funnel as many people as I can towards them. They definitely deserve that 1 mil. So yeah, go check them out. All that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.